So I was born in Uganda in the 1970s when Idi Amin came to power. He kicked all the Asians out.
Oh, he was a horrible dictator.
Yeah, and so he gave us like 48 hours for our family to leave the country. Otherwise, we're going to get killed.
What drew your parents to Uganda? Opportunity, jobs?
Yes, my parents had businesses. Like my parents and my brother, they have businesses back home in where I was born in Uganda.
And now your family was Hindu, and if people are familiar with Hinduism, it's a caste system.
That's right.
Was your family they very committed Hindus?
Yes, most of my family is committed Hindus. They go to temple regularly. We used to all go to temple in Africa.
Okay, let's go back to when your family was given 48 hours to get to Uganda. You went to England first?
Yeah, so what happened was when he gave us the deadline, 48 hours, different countries, Western countries, took refugees. So so England and Australia and Canada, so people said, okay, we're going to take refugees. So my family ended up going to England. So for that period, we lived in a refugee camp. In England, it was a hard time for me because in the 70s, there was a lot of, skinheads and, there was a lot of discrimination against, colored people. So I used to get beaten up at school, by, calling me derogatory names.
Derogatory names, yeah.
And
so you were what?
Beaten up all the time.
So when did you come to Canada, and how did those doors open for you and your family?
So what happened was in 1982, my brother sponsored my parents, and I was under 21 at that point. So anybody under 21 when we did the paperwork, we could come in as a dependent of my parents. So that's how I came in. My brother had a place here, and my parents didn't like it because they didn't like the winter. So they went back to England, and then I decided to stay here.
Here in Ontario, okay. So then you meet and marry a Canadian girl.
I moved in with Connie, that was her name, and I lived with her for 2.5 years. And the first 5 years were awesome, it was all new. And then it started going downhill. 2 of her brothers were into drugs and alcohol. So I decided, because it was like an escape for me. So I started dabbling in drugs and alcohol.
Which affected your marriage, and then she had an affair.
That's right.
You asked her to leave, and things really started to go downhill for you.
That's right. So when one day I was just coming down to get some milk, and I saw her in the car with somebody else, and that really broke my heart.
Devastating.
It devastated me. So I kicked her out. I said, you can take everything, I don't want anything. I had one mattress in my apartment, and that was when I came to a point where all the drugs that I had in the house, I said, okay, I don't want to live anymore. It was around Christmas time.
So you were serious about ending your life?
Ending my life, yes.
What stopped you?
So when I took all the drugs, right? Before that, I'll just go back a couple of steps. There was 2 guys that I used to work for the Hudson's Bay Company, and 2 guys, they always tell me about Jesus and, come to church. And I say, I don't want to know about Jesus and anything. And so when I was in my last breath, there's this bright light.
So you, at that point, Peter, you feel that you're actually dying?
Yes, I was like...
You'd taken so many drugs?
Whatever I had in my house, I just took. And when the light came, it was like I was instantly sober. But the light, I didn't see Jesus. It could have been Jesus, it could have been Buddha, it could have been Krishna, it could have been any other gods.
You didn't have a point of reference at that point?
No, all I saw was the light, and all I saw was these powerful arms. And I didn't see the face, I just saw the light. Powerful arms, and it was like I was a little baby cradled in the Father's arms.
Wow.
And when I had that encounter, I've never felt that kind of love that I felt then. And I don't think I'll feel that love until we go to heaven.
Was it shortly after that point that somebody shared the message of Jesus' love and you said, I'm in?
Yeah, no, the next day, I went to church, and that's when I learned about the Holy Spirit. And then I knew that that was no Hindu gods, or, it was Jesus that was holding me. And that just turned my whole life. And then I went and I gave my heart to the Lord, and ever since I've been serving Him. I served 10 years in one church. I started as an usher. Then because I was a DJ back home in England, I loved the music and the sound. And I went and to do the sound for the church.
And your journey to your relationship with Jesus is just so amazing. So thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And if you've never experienced the Jesus that Peter was talking about, many of us have not had that bright light thing that Peter experienced, but those of us that know him have experienced his love and his mercy. And if you've never experienced that, I'd encourage you to call our prayer lines today, 1-866-273-4444, and begin a journey with Jesus. There's so many adventures along the way. Challenges, yes, but amazing things to come. So again, give us a call, 1-866-273-4444.